Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're watching our show again this week. We're very happy that there are people like you out in our audience who are interested in what's happening in the cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area. It is important for good government to have citizens and residents that follow what's happening in their cities, and when something is of concern to them, you take time to be in contact with your mayors and city council people. So we're glad that you're watching us tonight. If you haven't watched us before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in our viewing area and talk about what are the current things happening in that city and make you a little more aware of what's going on, and then also encourage you to get involved with your city as much as your time permits. We're very happy tonight to have as a guest Mayor Duane Poppe from Osseo.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been on our show before, so we're glad to welcome you back again.
Glad to be here.
And learn about what's happening currently in Osseo.
Yep.
And you know that I always have people introduce themselves out to our wider audience. Saves me time to let you introduce yourself, right?
Yes.
So I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I'm Duane Poppe, the mayor of Osseo. We have lived in Osseo. It'll be 19 years this year. So we've been there and been part of the community. We have 3 small children. 13, 11, and soon to be 8. And keeps telling us every day, countdown to September 11th is her
coming
birthday.
Up fast.
Yeah. So we've got that big birthdays coming up here. But so they're busy with sports and other activities, so that keeps us on the run.
Right. Yeah. Along with being mayor,
Yes.
You have a busy family, busy
Yes.
household. And then I asked you to think about Osseo and tell us something that people that don't live in Osseo might not know. Is there any interesting fact that you've come up with?
Well, Osseo is one of those communities that was really kind of the only community out here for a long time.
Right.
It was the only community, long before Maple Grove. So it was it was the stop between Minneapolis and St. Cloud.
Right.
People would always joke,
Right.
So, but yeah, so it was kind of here before anything else was. And talk about a lot of the people, how they used to just walk out of town and go pheasant hunting here or there, where Brooklyn Park or Maple Grove is now. So it's the same, but quite a bit different.
So it kind of predates any of the other cities?
Oh yes, by quite a bit.
Yeah. and part of the rural background that all of our cities started with.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of lumber was kind of the main trade way back. They would actually do a lot of the harvesting of the wood actually in Maple Grove.
Oh,
that's where all the trees were, and they would all the farms were over in Brooklyn Park. It was right where the prairies and the woodlands met, so that's where they ended up building Osseo.
And then you were right at the intersection of all that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Now, Osseo, during this past summer, I think not so long ago, you ended up with a new city administrator?
Yep, that's right, in July started.
So why did you need a new city administrator? What happened to...
Well, we had, our former city administrator, Doug Reeder, was actually stepped in, it was like 3 years ago now, when our administrator at that time, Jeffrey Dahl, ended up taking the assistant city administrator position down in Chaska.
Oh, right.
So he left, and Doug came in as an interim city administrator as we went through the process and said, well, let's go and hire somebody and get a new city administrator. So then he stayed on. He said, I could do this 3 days a week, and I'd like to stay on. I think you've got some exciting projects coming along. So then he ended up staying for 3 years.
Oh.
And he said, at that time, helping Riley, who was at that time our city planner, kind of showing him the ropes and help kind of, mentor him over the last few years. And then it was just time for, Riley to really step up. So then in July of this year is when he took over. Then Doug was a management consultant. So he's still there helping out, but, Riley's the city administrator now.
So you're kind of home-growing your talent.
Yeah, we did that with Jeffrey Dahl.
Right.
Same thing, planner to, because you look at Osseo, you're kind of on either end of the spectrum with city administrators, because the really good ones we can't afford. I mean, that in our budget.
Right.
So it's either we have to kind of be the farm system to groom, good people that eventually leave, or other option is to kind of be on the back end as people retire. So I mean, we kind of understand that and come to grips with it, and I mean, the system has worked pretty well over the last few times, and hopefully, we're bringing in another planner that, hopefully we kind of do the same thing going forward. So.
And so the process was one of internal growth rather than an outside process of looking for someone.
Yeah, because we, when we first kind of started that process when we had Jeff Dahl, when he left, then we had the interim with Doug Reeder. I mean, we looked at it, I mean, it was fairly expensive. I mean, to go out and hire a search firm and, do the recruiting and, I mean, all that. So, I mean, it ended up, I mean, just works out better for us to kind of do it this way.
Well, and then so you planned things into the city planner's job to help them build up experience for what you wanted them to do on the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of promote from within, I mean, it just, I think it gives that person a better understanding, a better feel for the community, understanding kind of what are the issues and, possibly some of the pitfalls that you could run into.
Right. And can you talk just a little bit, because some cities have city managers and some people have administrators. What's the difference between the two jobs? Because they're kind of working on the same thing, but there's a little difference with their relationship to the council, right?
Yep, there's kind of little nuances. I mean, because it goes back to a Plan A or a Plan B city. Your Plan A cities have your city managers. And, kind of the basic difference that you can tell is that with a city manager, with the larger cities, is really like the CEO of the city, and then the council and the mayor is like an executive board. Where Plan B city, like in the city of Osseo, we have a city administrator, and all the decisions have to go through the council. They have no hire and firing ability. All the decisions are made at a council level, and their job is to carry out the direction of the council. So it's a little bit different. I mean, they don't have the authority to, hire, fire, purchase, things like that. Where on a type A or city manager, they're allowed to do that.
And what are the different areas that your city administrator gets involved in? Just to kind of fill in for people that, see the term, but they don't really know. What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the role of the city administrator is, being there for the council and carrying out the council's decisions. Being that quarterback to then go to the department heads, and based on the direction that the council as an entire body provides, and then the city administrator then uses the tools that he has with the department heads to carry out that direction.
And what are the different departments that a city has?
Yeah, so for us, we have fire, we have police, and then public works. Those are our three departments that we have within Osseo.
Now, one area that Osseo has had a lot of different things going on is in the area of redevelopment. So I thought we could maybe update people a little bit about it. Now, in your downtown area on Central Avenue, you've been adding apartment units on Central. And why did you see this as a need for your city? Both your council and staff were promoting it, right?
Yeah, and that was one thing that, as we looked at the comprehensive plan, that was put together a number of years ago. I mean, really it was to build density along the core. And what that does is it allows then rooftops bodies that'll support the businesses on Central Avenue. So I mean, it's kind of that chicken and the egg. I mean, you got to have the people that have the shops, but you need the shops with the people. So I mean, it kind of goes back and forth. So we tried to keep density along the core and then have the single family homes off of that. But I mean, it's been something that we continue to look at, and just to bring, and also with that project, it was really a different type of property type than we've had within the city. We have the apartments kind of on the east side of town, and then with these a little higher end right on Central Avenue, and then they have the walkouts that the first floor you can walk right out to the street level. So instead of going through, so we tried to have the building itself kind of blend into the fabric of the community a little bit more.
So a little different feeling than a standard apartment, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where you have a front entrance, and that's where you see everybody come and go. So it's trying to, kind of have decks and walkways that people can, get out a lot easier and walk around.
And have a better appearance because you've got a real downtown, right?
Yes.
Other cities try to copy Osseo and Robbinsdale.
Oh yeah. We're us Robbinsdale, Hopkins,
right?
White Bear. I mean, have some of the original downtowns.
Right.
So.
And then all the others that are trying to catch up.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Now, phase 1 of that project was like about a year ago, right?
Yep, opened up just over a year ago, and that was 71 units.
Okay.
And they're market rate apartments. And then phase 2 then was the one that wrapped around on Central Avenue, and that's the main street.
Right.
And that was another 69 units. So there's 140 units in that project.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right now, and then phase 2 opened up in actually 2 phases.
Okay.
Because they started kind of the north end, those 3 floors, and then worked south. So it was the beginning of July, right after the 4th of July, they opened kind of the north section of phase 2. End of July, they opened the south section of phase 2. And then now they're, like 93% occupied.
Oh,
so they have
that's
like
pretty good.
10 or 12 units left out of all of them. So, and they had a number of people renew on that first year renewal, which is, very favorable.
Oh, right. A good indication that it was a good choice to do that, right?
Yep.
Now, what kinds of feedback do you get from the other residents about increasing apartments in your city? What do you hear from people?
I think initially, there was some people that were, wondering why and what type of these apartments are going to be, and because a lot of the apartments that have been built within the city have been all senior apartments. So so this is completely different, market rate apartments, different kind of element of the population. A lot of millennials are there, so it's bringing in a different type of resident that haven't, frankly, been in town. So, but no, it's been, I think there was a little apprehension, but I think now that it's up and they see it, I think, people see it as an asset, and it's a very well done project, and they're happy. I haven't heard any negative comments about it. So,
and so it has increased your population by some percentage, right?
Yeah, once it's full, it'll be change the population about 10%.
Right. Yeah, because in the city of Osseo size, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be about 250 people, and we're about 2,500. So it's about
and then it gives more of the lifestyle housing.
Yep.
For your area.
Yep, and then a lot of the businesses have commented that they've noticed more people kind of walking up and down, and kind of new people that become regulars and different businesses up and down Central Avenue. So we're still looking at some other kind of entertainment type options, whether at restaurants and things, and some other things up and down Central Avenue that'll continue to bring people in.
So it's been a successful endeavor from the planning stage up to the building, and now that whole area is completed, right?
Correct. Yep. That's the whole block is done now. Yep.
Now another redevelopment thing was that Villa Homes, a nursing home, added a new section to their building.
Yep.
And where are they located?
Well, the old name of it used to be Berkshire.
Okay.
So that would be 5th Avenue and must be 1st.
Okay.
1st southeast. So kind of
in
almost kitty corner from Sipes Park down there. So this the group Villas ended up buying the nursing home.
Okay.
Berkshire. It's called the Villas now. And what they did was they put on an addition on the north end of it.
Okay.
And that's for kind of short-term rehab care. If you break a hip or a knee or something, and you need to, nowadays they put you in the hospital and spin you out as quick as they can. So you go there to do your physical therapy, your rehab, your making sure that you can cook and clean and do your own dishes and kind of the household chores. And then once you're done, then they kind of send you back to home wherever you end up being. So, but I mean, it's just another care facility. I mean, there's a few of them around, but I mean, it's just a great asset for the city. And then from there, that was kind of phase one. Is they're fixing. I mean, building all the units. In the physical therapy area and all that. So that's just kind of getting wrapped up. That'll be the end of September. They'll have the ribbon cutting, and then they're going to start going through phases and renovating all the existing rooms within Berkshire. As they, it'll be kind of rotating people around in rooms and as they update them. But the plan is then to go through and update the entire building, which will be great. I mean, again, it's been needed. So.
And is that the only rehab place that's in Osseo, or is there other facilities?
No, I was going to say that's the only one kind of open to the public. I think each of them have kind of their own little area for the residents, but that'll be open to. Yeah,
so if somebody in Osseo needs that kind of care, they can do it within their community rather than having to go away from it.
Yep.
And have you heard feedback from citizens in regards to that?
No, I mean I mean just be positive. Right. I mean I haven't heard other than that's great. Yeah. So, and I think once it's fully. I mean because obviously it's not open yet. So, but I think once it's open and then people see how really. I mean we had a kind of a dirty boots tour the other week. Just during construction, and they were showing us kind of this is one completed room and this is what they're all going to look like. I mean it's really nice. I mean it's going to be really nice. So it'll be a great asset to the city.
And it can serve a whole wide variety of people because there's a growing need because people don't have as much help at home.
Yeah.
Especially as people age, and so it serves a real need for people.
Yeah, with the aging demographic, it makes all the sense in the world.
And another redevelopment thing, because we got a lot of them to talk about, right, is that there's a new corporate headquarters coming to Osseo. I better look down now. Your EDA is working and has brought in
Roshan.
Okay, Roshan. Okay, I wasn't sure if I had it spelled right.
Yeah, they're a general contractor.
And what does the EDA do, and what did they do in this regard to end up with a headquarters for the business?
What this process was they originally came and they were out looking to build a corporate headquarters for themselves. And we talked to them originally, and they said, we really want to be in Osseo. We've got a lot of projects. They were leasing some space in Plymouth for a number of years, and they said, we really want to be here in Osseo. We like kind of what's going on and want to be kind of a part of it. So we said, great. We looked at, the Osseo Sports and the building right next door, which is in the parking lot of Dean's, was for sale. We originally looked at that, maybe doing something there or tearing that down and doing a 3-story with retail, and it never ended up working out. Right. So we ended up, another option that we looked at is some EDA-owned land that's across the street from the post office, so off of First over there. And they were able to, on the site itself, be able to program, it's a 5,000 square foot footprint, so it's 2 levels, parking kind of on the east side. Right. But, I mean, we approved the purchase agreement 2 weeks ago, and then they've submitted plans. So they want to be in the ground, come October, to be putting the building up and to be able to move into it, March, April of next year. So I mean, it's a great win for the city to be able to get an organization like that to want to be in Osseo, to build an office building again, bringing professionals and bringing just more daytime population to frequent the the restaurants and things in town. So I mean it having that, I mean, really felt like, I mean, people are kind of taking notice that things are going in the right direction, because I mean if they weren't, obviously they wouldn't even be looking.
Well, and that helps the future redevelopment of different parts of Osseo too, for people looking at your city and seeing that happen.
Yeah, because I mean if you look just a couple of years ago, I mean, that was one discussion point about the EDA owned a lot of land in town, and it sat on it for years and years and years and years, and it's, I mean, you're collecting no taxes on it. I mean, and you're kind of like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah, why?
So that's what, we've really made a conscious decision over these last couple of years that said, because my day-to-day job is I do commercial real estate. So
right.
hear about deals that are in the market, so I go out and kind of sell our city, and tell them about the benefits and what we can do. And, so we're able to, bring in a lot of development, and that's really the last piece the EDA is held. And, we're getting that online and programmed, and it'll be partial pay taxes next year, and we'll, get that on the tax rolls right away. So it'll help, generate some revenue for the city.
Oh, definitely. And cities nowadays certainly need to do that, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, the timeline for this corporate project is to already have it done by next spring.
Yeah. They want to be, digging the dirt in October, so next month.
And one thing that I think that cities are more often looking to is increasing jobs in your community, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, great, the owners and then the generals for the jobs and things like that. So, I mean, it'll be well-paying jobs, within the city. So.
Now, we've mentioned EDA. It stands for Economic Development Authority. Tell people a little bit about the group, because this is a group that people can choose to get involved in if they want to.
We've, the EDA is made up of 7 people.
Okay.
So 5 of the council people are on it. And then we have, there's the rules are one of them has to be a resident and one can be a business owner.
Okay.
But now we had those 2 positions just recently to decide to quit because some new people wanted to be on it. So both positions will be filled by residents, and one's a resident's business owner. So again, we'll round out, the 7-member board.
Okay.
So, but so that the 5 council and these 2 people. But yeah, I mean, we look at ways that we can bring economic development to the city of Osseo, and the kind of the toolbox that we have with the different financing programs and things that we as an EDA can do to help bring in business and try to expand the tax base is really the ultimate goal of it.
And so there's funding for that group.
Yep. I mean, they've had for a number of years they were part of the general fund levy. I mean, it was a payment to the EDA. I mean, their fund balance is pretty decent, pretty healthy. And then as we've sold lands, I mean the balance is still pretty healthy. So I mean they're no longer a part of the payments from the city. I mean they can kind of sustain on their own. And really the key is as you do development projects, whether it be the land or whatever, that you're being able to kind of refund yourself based on some of these projects. So I mean that's been kind of a goal, and we've been able to accomplish that with some of these new deals that we've done. And as we as some of the notes get paid off, we'll be able to, even replenish it some more and kind of figure out what's the next new deal to do. So.
And then each one of them adds to the city and to your tax levies and makes it easier to keep things going.
Exactly.
Now, a new event was added to Osseo. It was called Football Day.
Yep.
And now, who was involved in organizing and carrying out this event? Well, when was it? Because it was just this fall.
It kind of a perfect storm of unique events all came together for this one, and it was something that we've talked about. That we said, we're trying to build a community around the school because I mean, for whatever reason, it just seems very disjointed. And we've had many meetings with the people up at the school, and then the city, and then the boosters came to us and said, well, we want to have an event, and we said, well, we're trying to figure that out too. So it was the Osseo football boosters.
Okay.
And this year was kind of unique, was because the first game of the year happened to be considerably earlier in the year, which was August 22nd.
Oh, yeah.
3 weeks before school started, and where that was is because of the Vikings playing at TCF and trying to get state playoffs, so everything was pushed forward. So they probably will never be that early again. But so it was, and then the game ended up being on a Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, which normally games are always Friday night. So I mean, it was just kind of this perfect storm of things that all kind of came together. So when we had meetings, it was really the Osseo football boosters, and the city was really were kind of the driving forces behind this thing. So, and what it was we ended up having, and it also tied into, it was the day Osseo youth football was having their rally day and pitcher day, and they played up at the stadium. So I mean, there was this whole bunch of a bunch of activities, centered around football. So we ended up starting the morning off at the community center with a pancake breakfast from 8 until 10. So then people, and they had pitchers, they would come up, have pancakes, and all the players and people, and then we did some special promotions with the senior living facilities to get them up and get them through the lines and stuff. So we tried to bring a lot of the seniors because it was a nice day. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was not too late. I mean, it was kind of a nice situation for them to get out. And then at 10 o'clock we then got everybody. We had closed off Central Avenue across from City Hall, and then we had everybody in the park, and then we did a little pep rally in the park, and then kind of get everybody whipped up, and then the marching band, and the cheerleaders then led the parade of players down Main Street and then into the stadium.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So when I was down in Knoxville last year for the Tennessee-Alabama football game, Tennessee does that, leads them into the stadium, and I thought that's kind of cool. So we tried to incorporate some of that, and then we had some passport cards where people got stamps around the different businesses in town, and then they had chances, to win prizes at the football game, and so there was kind of a whole community, and then a lot of the restaurants and in town said that was just a great event, and they're glad we did it, and I mean they had, they're like, okay, what's next year? Let's try to plan something bigger and better. So we're already trying to look at for next year what we can do, and probably isn't going to be a Saturday football game again next year, but we've talked maybe we do something like that around homecoming or something like that. So that's kind of already in the works for next year. So when we're expand on from what we have. So
well, and people, I think especially people in smaller cities are looking for community events that pull people together, and you get to meet other people, and you feel like you're part of something.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Is because I grew up in a small town in northern Wisconsin. I mean, it was like when you played high school athletics, you're kind of the star of the town.
Right.
It's like we're trying to bring that small town feel back to the in the big city here.
Well, and you do a lot of events in the summer too, with music in the park and
the
movies and
car show. And,
different things to give people a feeling of we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing all your expertise and your ideas with our audience out there. And we'll encourage you to watch next week for part 2 on Osseo's issues. We're glad that you've joined us. And if you're from Osseo and you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, I hope you took down Duane Poppe's email and phone number, and you can be in contact with him. Or if there's issues that got your interest, but you're in another city, contact your city hall and learn more about it, and then start interacting on them. And we'll look for you to join us again next week. Bye.